So now we successfully understand what is widget and how to display the text, how to display the images, and how to change the background color, containers, buttons, right? But using this, we cannot create a complex UI. For example, if you cannot put two widgets together, right? So for that, we have a widget called rows and columns. So let's see how to do that. So now we have to work with a multi-child widget. So for that, we are going to learn about rows and columns. So I have written an article here. So you can go to those link and you can see about rows and column in very detail. So let me explain what is rows and column. Okay. So far we have created a container, elevated button. Everything is under the tree structure, right? So in case if you want to add multiple buttons, what do you have to do? So you cannot simply copy this and paste here. Okay, so for that we have to work with the rows and column. Okay, so I don't want to confuse rows and column at the same time. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to work with the column first, so then it is the opposite, just the opposite. The row is just the opposite of the column. Okay, so I'm going to remove all this code. So inside this container, I'm going to remove this code. So here I'm going to use column. So this column, it has a children. So previously it has a child. Single child means it's child, multi-child means it will always has a children. So inside the children, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a multiple container, okay, with a height of 100 into 100 and width of 100. And I'm going to give a different colors for that. So now you can see we are displaying the container, okay, 100 pixel into 100, and we are displaying three colors. Okay, I'm just going to change the background color of this one. So now you can see we have displayed the three containers, okay, and with a 100 into 100. So as I said, so the column is used for aligning the widgets in a vertical direction. So here you can see everything is aligned the vertical direction, okay. And when you are playing with the rows and column, you need to remember only two things. One is a main axis alignment and another one is a cross axis alignment. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make this container as a full width. So right now this container, so if I put the color for this container, the container is not a full width or full height, okay. So to make it full width, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make a height of double dot infinity. So double dot infinity means it will occupy the entire available space, okay. The same goes for a width, double dot infinity. So if I save this, so now you can see, so I'm just going to add the color. So if I refresh, so now you can see this particular container occupies the entire available space. Also here you can see the column container, it is somewhere on the position, okay. So we can change this position. So now I'm going to play with the main axis and cross axis, okay. So here you can see if you take the column, cross axis means this direction, left to right direction, and main axis means top to bottom direction, okay. So now I'm going to set the main axis and cross axis as a starting position, okay. So main axis alignment. So main axis alignment dot. So here we have a multiple option, okay. So just I'm going to put it as a start position and cross axis. So inside the cross axis element also we have a multiple option, okay. So I'm going to set it as a start. So start means the starting position, okay. So here you can see the entire container, it is on the starting position, okay. Cross axis we set the start position and main axis it's a start position, which means the entire container will be here, okay. If I make the cross axis at the end position, this will happen, okay. Main axis is a start. So let's see how it is going to work. So I'm going to change the cross axis as an end. So now what will happen, the entire container will be on this position. So if I refresh, you can see if I change the main axis as an end, what will happen, so this container it will goes to this position. So now you can see it is on this position. In case if you want to make this container to this position, what we have to do, we have to make the cross axis as the start position and main axis as the center position. Okay, main axis is going to be a center and cross axis is going to be a start position. So now you can see the entire container on this particular position. So now you have a clear idea about what is main axis and cross axis and how to play with this. Okay, so next, if you want to add a spacing, okay, between this container, so you need to play with the main axis alignment. So instead of the center, so we have a multiple option. So one is a space around. So if I put space around, what will happen? So you can see there is a space between the three containers, but here you can see this space is not equal, but somewhat we are seeing the space. Okay, if you want to add a space evenly, so if I refresh, so here you can see all the container has a equal space. Okay, if I put space between, what will happen? The first container don't have any space, okay, and the last container it don't have any space. Only the middle container it has some multiple spaces. Okay, so let's add a few more container. So now you can see the start between means space between means the first and last don't have any space, but in between we have a equal space. Okay, if I add space evenly, everything will have a equal space. Okay, so this is how you have to play with the main axis alignment and cross axis alignment. So now we have understand what is column. So what is column? In case if you want to align anything in a vertical direction, you have to use the column. What if you want to do it on the horizontal direction? So that is called row. Okay, so when you are coming to the row, it's just the opposite to the column. So here, in case if you want to align everything in the horizontal direction, it is row. In case vertical direction, it is column. Okay, so the main axis and cross axis will also change. So what I am going to do here, so I am going to change the row column into row and do the refresh. So here you can see everything aligned on the top, because now the main axis alignment is from top left to right and cross axis is the top to bottom. Also we are having some error, so right now we don't need to worry about that because it is just overflowing. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this, refresh now. So here you can see, so in case if you want to display this container to this position, what do you have to do? So main axis is going to be center and cross axis is going to be end. Okay, you got it right. So cross axis is going to be end, main axis is going to be center. So if I save this, so now you can see everything on this position. In case if you want to put this container to this position, what do you have to do? So to this position, cross axis is center, main axis is going to be end. Cross axis is a center, main axis is going to be end. So now it is on this particular position. So now you have a clear idea about what is cross axis, main axis, and how to play with the rows and column. Okay, so next I'm going to do with the example. So it might be confusing for you in case if you are playing with the container kind of thing. So let's see how we work with the real-time example. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to display the icon and the text. Okay, so now for this purpose we have to use the column, right? So column, it's going to be a two children. First is icon. Okay, so we have an Android icon. So next we have a text button. So refresh now. So now you can see we have an Android icon, we have a text button. So to make it center, what we have to do? So we have to make the column and row, we have to make the main axis and cross axis as a center position. Now you can see we can display the icon and the button here. So next what we are going to do here, we are going to create something like this. Okay, so for that what we have to do? So first I need to create a container, so kind of box. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. So first I need to create a container. So inside this container, so I'm going to create a column. So this child is going to have a column. So inside this child, what we have? We have an image, title, and another title and button. Okay, so I'm going to use a, so here we have a circle image. So we can use circle avatar. So here you can see we are displaying the image something like this, but we don't have any background here. Okay, so what I am going to do here, I'm going to add the background for this particular container. So I'm going to remove this background color, yellow color. So instead I'm going to add the color for this. So also I'm going to make this container for the center position. So I'm going to wrap with the center widget. So if I save this, so now you can see the height is somewhat very big. So let's reduce that. Okay, so next I'm going to make this everything to the center. So what you have to do, so we have to set the column main axis cross axis as a center position. Okay, so now you can see everything is center position. In case if we want to add a space, what we have to do, so we have to add a space between something like that, but that is not suitable for every situation. Sometimes we have to add extra space here. That moment what you have to do, so we have to type sized box. Sized box means it's just an empty box. Okay, so here you can set the height. For example, if I set the 20, so it will create a 20 space. Okay, so if I create a 40 here, so if I do refresh, so here you can see there are different spacing you can add it. Okay, so one thing you can use the sized box, or you can use the container. Container is also empty box, right? So if you are not passing any child, it's just an empty box. If I save this, so the same result. Okay, so for us spacing, you can use only one thing is called sized box, and one more thing is called a container. So now we have understand how to work with a column, right? So next we can have the real-time example of row. For example, if you want to build something like this, okay, in e-commerce we will have something like this, right? So let's build that. So instead of column, I'm going to use the row. So I'm making a full width double dot infinity. So refresh now. So now you can see everything aligned in the horizontal direction. Okay, so if you want to add a space here, what you have to do, instead of height you have to make this a width. So if I refresh, so here you can see it is aligned. So this is how you have to work with the rows and column. So next I'm going to work with the row and column together. So I'm going to build something like this. Okay, something like this. So for that, what you have to do, so first you have the container. So next we have another container. So then we have another container. So then we have another container. So inside each container, so first so this image, this text, this one, it is aligned in the row. Okay, and this one, so let's see how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that. So first we need a 3 container. So before that I'm going to remove everything. So right now we have only one container. Okay, so inside this container I'm going to have a child of center position because I'm going to make it as a center. So inside the center we have another child called container. So this container, it's going to have a child. So now what we need, a column. Okay, column of 3 children. So the first yellow, the first white box, the image box, and the last white box. Okay, container, container, container. So now we have created a 3 boxes. So let's complete this one. Okay, so for this we have an image, text, and icon. Everything aligned in a row, right? So this container, it's going to have a child of row. So this row, it has a 3 thing. Okay, I always use the container because it will be helpful for adding a space. Okay, so I have a 3 containers here. The first container, it's going to have a child of circle avatar. Circle avatar background image. So I'm going to save this. So now you can see the image is appearing here. So next I'm going to add a text. So for a text, what we have a column again. Okay. So inside the second container, we have a child. We have a column because we have a 2 text, right? Align it a column direction. Column. This has a 2 text. So if I save this, so now you can see, so we have displayed the text. So then what we have? So we have a icon. So in the third container, so I'm going to have a child of icon. So now we have created an icon. So let's see how it's going to work. So here we have an icon. So now you can notice everything aligns something like this, right? So but we have to add a spacing over there. So let's fix the spacing. So here we have a like a center position, right, inside the column. So we need to make it as this position. Okay. What I'm going to do here. So this column is going to be a start position. Main axis alignment start, and cross axis is going to be a start position. If I save this, now you can see the spacing has been fixed. So next we have to add the spacing for this before this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, so before this container, so I'm going to add sized box. I'm just going to copy this and paste here. So if I refresh, so now we have added some space over here. So let's fix the remaining stuff and then we will complete the spacing issue. So next we have to add some images over here. Okay, so for that, this particular container, the second container, it's going to have a child of image dot asset. So or we can use the network image. So here I'm going to pass some images. So now you can see the image is displaying here, but it is occupied the full width, right? But we need to have the fixed width, sorry, fixed height. So for that I'm going to set the container height. Height is going to be a 200. If I fix the container height as a 200, the image is not occupying the full screen, right? So for that we have an option called fit. So inside the image there is a property called fit. So you have to pass box fit dot cover. So if you pass the cover, what will happen? This image will occupy the full width. But we didn't fix any width for this container. So let's make it double dot infinity. So if I save this, so now you can see it occupied the full width. Also, we center the image. So next we have to work with this. So inside the third container, what we have a row. We have a child of row. So inside each child, what we have a like button command and we have a share button, right? Again, it is aligned in the row. So for that, I'm going to create another container. So the first container is going to have a child of row. This has a child of icon. So I'm just going to copy this and replace the containers. So the second one is going to have a command. So if I refresh this, so here we can see we are displaying, but we don't have any space. Here we need to space evenly, right? So what we can do, we can put the space evenly for the row. So if I use the main axis alignment, so now it will add a equal space for this row. So I'm going to save this So now you can see we have added a space equally. So now we have to fix the spacing. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to introduce another widget called expanded. Okay, so this particular container I'm going to wrap with the expanded. So expanded is nothing but it will occupy all the remaining space. Okay, so for example, here it will give the space for this particular image and this one. So remaining space will be occupied this by this particular text. So if I refresh this, so now you can see, so I will add a background color so that you can clearly understand. The expanded, it will occupy the remaining space. So here we have a spacing, right? Because we have added the size it box before and after that. Okay, so let's add some styling for the entire container. So what I'm going to do here, so I'm fixing some height and background color. So I'm going to add some margin. So if I refresh this, so now you can see we have added some spacing over here. Also you can add some spacing for this. So if you put the spacing for this container, padding. So now you have clearly understand what is rows and column and how to play with the rows and column, and using the rows and column how to create a beautiful UI.